Shalawam, Yasharallah.
Shalawam.
Great Millstone, New Orleans, coming back at y'all with another lesson. But before we get started, as always, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to
YAHAWAH, bahasham, YAHAWASHI, bahasham,
double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalawam to the hopeful elect.
Shalawam.
So as you see from the title, every whore was born a virgin. And we're just going to go into how a lot of people are surprised when the unexpected happens, because a person never does something until they do it. You're not known for being a murderer until you start killing people. All right, you have people that say, oh, he could have never killed anybody. I've known him my whole life. He would have never done something like that. Well, he never did it until he did it. A whore is not a whore until she gets popped. So, Jake, understanding the times we're coming into, anybody's liable to do anything. You can't put anything past somebody just because they haven't done it before. Doesn't mean they'll do it now. So we can start with that.
If I can say too, and we're in the perfect place for it. Babylon, which goes back to what? Babel, or confusion.
Yeah.
You got people, living with their spouses, people having so-called best friends, or even, family members who would not expect them, as the brother was saying, to do some of the wild shit they do until they actually do it. And you're just completely taken, where they say, it just comes completely out of left field.
Yeah. But the scriptures tell us not to marvel at these things.
This is Jeremiah 9:4. Take ye heed every one of his neighbor, and trust ye not in any brother. For every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanders.
Right, every brother will utterly supplant. All right, the crazy thing about betrayal is that it only happens to people you trust. All right, you can't betray somebody 5, 6, 7, 8 times in a row. Betrayal is something that you don't see it coming because the person's never betrayed you before. That's why it hits you so hard. All right, when you see somebody, it's like, okay, this person's solid. They never do this, they never do that until they do it. The scriptures tell you any brother will utterly supplant, meaning any brother you might think is solid, you never know. The Lord could put a spirit on that man to change. We've seen it. We've seen brothers that were, this guy, he's got to be a man of the Lord. Then the Lord take his spirit off that man. He's just like a totally different person. Just standing there, with his feet, but that's,
hey, I can speak from personal experience.
Yeah.
A Jake that fell out of the truth. He had his tendencies here and there, but I would never expected him to, threaten me with physical bodily harm.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. Brother, be like this with a brother. Next thing you know,
mortal, he look at you like a mortal enemy, and you're just like, well, shit, I'm just trying to, rebuke you on some stuff, and now you want my head.
Yeah. But every brother will others, you have to be prepared for these things, because the Lord went through it. All right, the Lord was actually betrayed. Let me get this real quick.
I got one for you too.
Okay. This is St. John, chapter 6, verse 70. It says, YAHAWASHI answered them, have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil? He spake of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, for he it was that should betray him, being one of the 12. So Judas hadn't betrayed the Lord before. That was his first time, and it only takes one time. And boy, it was a doozy. All right, 2,000 years later, he's still known as the Judas Goat. There's actually his name is now synonymous with being a traitor, but he hadn't done it up until that point. There's no record of the scriptures of Judas going off or being, completely. Oh, you got it.
Whatever he did in righteousness is not remembered.
Yeah.
Only thing that's accounted is, his wickedness.
And he was a disciple, so he saw miracles, he performed miracles, he was healing Jake, he was a brother, and then until he wasn't.
He was with YAHAWASHI, of course he showed up to the Garden of Gethsemane afterwards, but he was with YAHAWASHI all the way up until that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So every brother will utterly supplant. The elder of this camp, he says it all the time, there's a Judas in every camp. So brothers have to be prepared for that, and it's bittersweet. But we'll be in the kingdom, all right. Every Israelite's gonna be in the kingdom. That's the comforting part of it. Whatever happens is part of the Lord's story, so you can't take it personally.
But I had Psalms 55.
And 12.
You got I'm gonna read down to 14. This is Psalms 55 and 12. For it was not an enemy that reproached me, then I could have borne it. As the brother was just saying, those betrayals that hurt the most are those that you thought were tarrying with you, those that you looked at as a brother and broke bread with, because you expect the enemy to do what he's gonna do. As it says, who pity a charmer if he bitten by a serpent? You're simple, if you don't expect your enemy to do that. It's when it's somebody who you tarried with and thought he had my back on the line that, you know, stabs you in the back when it's turned.
Yeah, and that's really the only person that, again, that can betray you is somebody that you trust. And going back to the title of the lesson, you know, every whore was born a virgin. You have jakes that understand they don't want to defile women, so they get a virgin. But because we're in Babylon, what happens? The virgin ends up committing adultery too. It's like, well, damn, I thought I got a good woman. She's never been with another man. She doesn't have a body count. But then this society is so wicked, these virgins feel like, well, I'm missing out. You know, I've only been with one man. I got to go out and do my thing. You had that singer, I forget his name. He married a virgin, and now she's back in the streets. So really, there's nothing here for us. We seek a kingdom to come. We're not looking to build a righteous society here with righteous sisters. All right, these women are defiled, and we're defiled. We need to be changed. That's our hope.
Hey, yeah. And what's the penalty for being a whore? Death.
Death.
And what is Babylon? The great whore.
Yeah.
So what's the penalty for that? Death.
Yeah. And that's what's coming.
And all these adulterers, you know, spiritual, physical adulterers in it. Mm-hmm. Then I could have borne it. Neither was it he that hated me that did magnify himself against me, then I would have hid myself from him. Verse 13, but it was thou, a man mine equal, my guide and mine acquaintance. So what? Speaking about a brother.
Yeah. A man that believes on the name Yahawah, bahasham, YAHAWASHI, just like you do, could be a man that's laboring, toiling for years. And then just one day, it is what it is. That's why this is a daily battle. That's why we have to examine ourselves at any given moment. That could be you. You have to think of it like that. You can't be like, well, look, I did X amount of videos. I've been in the truth so many years. That ain't gonna happen to me. Why not?
You can't be getting settled on your lees. That might be the time, you know, that candle, that light to search you out is, you know, puts that spotlight on you. Verse 14, we took sweet counsel together and walked into the house of the Most High in company on the block, cutting people with precepts. This man knows your government name, you know his government name. He's met, you know, in some instances, your family, you've met his family, been to each other's houses, you know, literally broke bread with each other, physical bread, and, you know, the spiritual bread of these scriptures, just to have, you know, him turn around and just completely betray you like that.
Yeah, it happens. Brothers have been in this 7-8 years. We've seen firsthand, you know, the Lord take the spirit off a man. We've seen firsthand, you know, men that you thought were solid brothers. We're coming into a time when the pressure is going to be, you know, turned up. Like when you go back to 2020, you had a lot of jakes that they flipped, and the pressure wasn't even that serious. You know, certain jobs required you to take the jab. Most of them didn't, and Jake was just over something like that. Jake flipped out. So how much more when our faces are on the news? These guys are T-errors. You know, these are the people that are they're the reason the economy is collapsing. It's these Negroes on the street corner. All right, when we're labeled to be the worst thing going, you have a lot of men that are going to fold. Men that you think are solid.
Hey, and you know, these prices going up, people losing jobs, they put a money reward on your head. Hey, Judas, another example, Judas sold out YAHAWASHI for 30 pieces of silver.
Yeah.
We have all these examples, you know, and everything written aforetime was written for our learning to, you know, get our minds and our spirits prepared for these things to take place again. YAHAWASHI said, you know, the servant is not greater than his master.
Yeah. If he was betrayed, how much more his servants?
And YAHAWASHI, they literally saw YAHAWASHI perform physical miracles, and he still got betrayed.
Yeah. Countless miracles that can't even be contained in the book. So we're dealing at a time right now, as we get closer and closer to YAHAWASHI's coming, we see more and more prophecy unfolding. We see the scriptures, you know, the prophecies are jumping off the pages, and our faith is being boosted. But that doesn't mean that other men aren't going to betray you. You have guys fall out the truth over women, over minuscule things, and this is part of the story. It's part of your story. If you're of the elect, if you're part of the 144,000, part of your story is betrayal. Part of your story is, you know, suffering, persecution, going through things. That's part of YAHAWASHI's story, and it's the greatest story ever told. So how much more the 144,000, not just YAHAWASHI, not just King David, the whole 12, the 80, the 144,000. We're all gonna have those stories, and that at the time that it's happening, it's not gonna be pleasant. But you're gonna know, okay, this is part of the story. There's an end to this, though. There's an expected end. You got another one? Or?
Oh no.
Okay. All right. If you can get Micah 7 and 5.
Kind of.
Yeah, we're coming into those times when anything can and will happen, and the Lord prepared us for it spiritually. So you shouldn't bug out. If you're a man of the Lord, you believe in these scriptures, you stay reading the scriptures. You shouldn't be thrown off when these things happen. You're like, okay, the Lord said that was going to happen. He's not going to throw anything at us that He hasn't told us about. And everything that we see coming, you can see. Okay, that's Matthew 24. That's 2 Ezra 15. That's 2 Ezra 16. It's all part of the Lord's script. You got it.
And you know, we can speak for ourselves down here, and you know, brothers in other camps, you know, because you always got men, you know, bugging out and falling out. You know, the Lord has been using this, you know, grace period right now to prepare us for these things. You know, again, men you were close with, you know, bug out and become demons, betrayals, all that on a low level when there's no pressure. So, you know, it's not just going to come out of the blue when that heat is turned up, and it's really, you know, a life or death, you know, betrayal and situation out here.
God.
This is Micah 7:5. Trust ye not in a friend, put ye not confidence in a guide, keep the doors of thy mouth from her that lieth in thy bosom.
Right. You're not supposed to be pillow talking with your woman. You're not supposed to, especially trusting Jake in the world. Some guy at your job. All right. Some nigga you went to high school with. You're gonna trust him with your secrets. All right. That shows a total lack of understanding. You have Jakes that'll be in the truth for years and not even get that. They're looking at, oh, my wife's in the truth with me. That's my Sarah. That's, you know, come on, man. Matter of fact, read the next verse, Baba. This is what's going to happen.
Verse 6. For the son dishonoreth the father, and the daughter riseth up against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies are the men of his own house.
Right, a man's enemies are them of his own house. And this is what's going to happen, like the brother alluded to earlier, when you have men that, you know, they're struggling financially. If there's a reward, you know, for you, you know, your head being on a platter, they're going to do it. And this, you can't take it personally. Again, this is something that has been in the scriptures since the beginning of time. It's something the Lord warned us about repeatedly, so you can't act like you got caught off guard. Yeah. Ear hustling E, man.
Yeah. Mr. Walrus.
Yeah. Where's Waldo? But yeah, it says the man's enemies are the men of his own house. And Yahawashi warned us about that as well. So you Jakes that think, oh, my whole family's in the truth.
I got that for you.
We got, you know, my dog has fringes. The whole house has fringes on it. There's fringes wrapped around the house. My whole house is man, no, man. If the Lord's dealing with you, He's dealing with you. The Lord could deliver your whole family, or He could have members of your family betray you, or He could have members of your family put to death in front of you. No matter what happens, you have to be ready to hold fast to the faith. You got it?
God. I'll get that in Matthew. This is Matthew chapter 10. I'll start at verse 34. Because, hey, as it says in Sirach, just as a whore envieth a righteous woman, you know, these, you know, wicked brothers, wicked women, just these wicked people in the world in general, they envieth, you know, brothers and sisters that are in that righteous spirit, because you got two opposing forces going against each other. And the more you get in the spirit of YAHAWAH, bahasham, YAHAWASHI, the more that division is going to be created, and the more they're going to hate you for it, because you're going to cast light on their own failings and wickedness. But this is Matthew chapter 10, verse 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
So the Messiah is, you know, he's quoting Micah, man. It's the same thing. All right, a man's foes are going to be those of their own households. And like the brother was alluding to, you have people that despise you simply because you believe in the truth, and they weren't chosen to believe. And so, as it tells you, let me get this real quick for you, this Proverbs 29 and 27, it says, an unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is abomination to the wicked.
Reread it again, Baba Kashab.
Proverbs 29 and 27, it says, an unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is abomination to the wicked.
Straight to the point. Two spirits at complete odds and variance with each other. You know, when you come into this truth, there is no middle ground. There is no half-stepping, and there is no being lukewarm, because what do Yahawashi say about being lukewarm? I spew you out of my mouth. you gotta, Yahawah bahasham Yahawashai causes you to draw a line in the sand. When you come into this truth, you had friends in the world, people you dealt with. If they are, constantly smoking weed, if they, thugging out here, or they into, some alternative lifestyle activities, you got to completely cut them off.
Yeah.
You cannot be, have any,
dealings with all.
Can't have any dealings with them at all. And that's ultimately that's going to lead to that variance, because what they're going to look at you as, oh, he thinks he's better than me. Preacher man, he's into the Bible. What am I doing that's so wrong? The whole world says that what I'm doing is okay. What makes you any better than me? And not just with people in the world, but going back to that Matthew 10, a man's foes shall be they of his own household. Brothers have plenty of testimonies of close relatives, brothers, aunts, fathers, mothers, completely turning against them and casting them out because of what? You follow Yahawah bahasham Yahawashai.
Yeah, in many cases, these are people that never betrayed you your whole life.
That was there for you.
Yeah, they were there for you. It could be your favorite cousin. It could be your brother. It could be your own parents. Your parents love you. They raised you. All right, your mother didn't give birth to you. These are people that genuinely love you, but because you follow the truth, now all of a sudden they're your enemy. So just the same way the whore was born a virgin, all right, you have your parents, they've been loving you your whole life until they don't. Then they start to hate you. And really, Yahawashi said that a prophet is not without honor except in his own household. There's a lot of Israelites that feel like there's no way you could be a prophet. I've known you since you were a baby. I used to change your diapers, or I used to play, we used to play video games back in the day. We used to smoke weed, chase hoes. We used to do all this folly together. So there's no way the Lord's dealing with you because he's not dealing with me. How do you understand the breakdowns? How can you go from Genesis to Revelation like that? No, you're just in a cult. Jake just can't accept that the Lord's dealing with you. And that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means that they weren't called. And so they end up hating you. You got it?
Con, I was looking for one, but...
Oh, Con. Yeah, I'm going to read this again just to back up what you were saying earlier. This is Proverbs 29 and 27 again. It says, an unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is abomination to the wicked. And Yahawashi, he said, he that is not with me is against me. So the brother was saying earlier, a lot of Jakes, they feel like, there's really not a line in the sand. There's really more gray area. This whole world is about gray area. I believe what I believe. You have your truth. I'm going to do what I'm doing. So when you take a stand as a man and say, look, this is it. This is right. Everything else is wrong. That makes you an enemy to people that are living in gray area, because these people really don't believe in right and wrong. They believe in subjectivity. This is how I feel. This is my opinion. That's your opinion. Oh, who wrote the Bible? We don't really know. Like, these people don't even believe in a right and wrong or a true and false. Their whole life is based around doing what they want to do.
They believe in the flesh.
Yeah.
All they believe in is, what fulfills
right.
their desire. What feels right and what fulfills their desires at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a quick one. This is Isaiah 59 verse 15. Yeah, truth faileth, and he that departeth from evil maketh himself a prey. And Yahawah saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment. But straight to the point, he that departeth from evil maketh himself a prey. You become an enemy to this world. Not just the world at large, but the world of your immediate vicinity, who you were back in the world and the people you knew. Drawing that line in the sand and having to cut people off, creates that division, creates that variance. And when Mad Day comes, when we're public enemy number one out here, you shouldn't be surprised that the very first ones that are gonna turn against you are gonna be those that you were close with in the world. And hey, as we were going into early in the lesson, those that you called a brother, that you went to the house of the Most High with.
God, that is, again, you can't be betrayed by somebody that you don't trust. These are going to be people that you trust. All right, a lot of you Jakes, your wife, some of you, your children. You might have that's gonna hurt, man.
Hey, it says that children shall put parents to death. This is all contained in the scriptures.
Yeah, and it's never happened before, so you're not expecting it. The only way you would expect it is if you read the scriptures and believe in the scriptures. All right, when you believe Yahawashi's warning, you're not going to be caught off guard by these things. But for Jakes that are playing games, these family man Israelites, these Carl Winslow Israelites, they come into the truth. Oh, GMS, they're just haters. They're mad because we can't, Jake, that's in the spirit of these other camps. When their family turns on them, it's going to be devastating because they don't see it coming.
Hey, they might delete themselves, or just to get things back to normal. They might take that seat. Well, not might, take that C hip.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I just had a coworker yesterday tell me her man has been, in the world they believe in cheating, which a man can't cheat on a wife. But anyway, he's been so-called cheating on her their whole marriage, and then she finally got fed up. She went and got a man, and she told him, and he started trying to kill himself, man. He'd wait till she come home, then he'll jump off he'll jump off something with something around his neck. He failed committing suicide multiple times in front of her, just being a drama queen. But basically, a lot of these Jakes, they can't believe that their wife would turn on them. Oh, my wife's a virgin, she wouldn't do that. Well, every whore was a virgin once. That's how that happens. All right, nobody's born a whore.
Hey, your woman, in this case, it might not even be at that point. When you said I do, or you first started that relationship with the woman, she was faithful, wasn't she? She had the appearance of fidelity at the beginning, but hey, that infidelity, reared its ugly head.
Yeah, and that's another reason that nobody believes America's going to be destroyed, because it hasn't happened yet. All right, these people don't believe that a country that's surrounded by water, that's so-called safe, could be touched, but it is. This whore is going to get fucked, man, and it's a virgin right now. So Jake doesn't believe, but every whore was born a virgin. Let's get that in Isaiah 47.
Kind.
Yeah, we'll just switch gears and go into war, man, because this whore is going to get plucked by so many arrows, and nobody believes it because, again, she's a good girl. Jake have that, the girl next door, she's not like those other girls. No, any girl could be a hoe, man. Jake really, she wouldn't do that. She's too pretty to do. Man, listen, these women, they do things, Jake. All right, get that thought out of your head. Oh, all these women, yeah, GMS is right about the woman, except for my woman. She wouldn't do that. She's not like that. They're all like that, okay? And every wicked kingdom has been destroyed by YAHAWAH, bahasham, YAHAWASHI. America's not some girl next door, some pleasant to look. Oh, she wouldn't get down like that. No, man.
Like that Tom Petty song. She was just an American girl.
Yeah, man. Who was that? Was that Lenny Kravitz, American Woman?
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, Stay Away From Me. Yeah, you got it out.
You mind if I get before we switch over to, just another example of our forefathers, the apostles, the disciples in the past getting betrayed. This is 2 Timothy 4:10. For Demas hath forsaken me, having loved this present world, and is departed unto Thessalonica, Cretans to Galatia, Titus unto Dalmatia. So not just Demas, but 3 other men who are laboring with the apostle Paul. But what? The present world, the lusts of it took them away and took them out of the truth, which we've seen in this present time as well.
Yeah.
They were.
It happens. You got it.
They were faithful to the truth, but then what? Hey, like that virgin who became a whore. Hey, they became infidel. Yeah, they became had infidelity towards the truth.
Yeah, incredulity. They just
God.
couldn't believe anymore. That's how it is. You Jake got I'm tired boss spirit. And that happens. It could happen to your favorite. We see it happen to athletes. Somebody's just got the strength of a lion, then one day they ain't got it no more, and they can't even believe it themselves. Tyson couldn't believe the first time he lost. All right, when you see somebody that's just undefeated and they're just so dominant in a sport, when you see them broken down, it's like, man. But that's what happens.
They had a bodybuilder named Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
Who he looked like the Hulk at his peak, but when you see him now, he's all decrepit and he has to walk with crutches.
Yeah, that's what happens.
But I wanted to get because it says something interesting about Demas when you go into the Strongs. It said, a companion of Paul who deserted the apostle when he was a prisoner at Rome and returned to Thessalonica. So at a low point for the apostle Paul, that's when Demas, left him.
Yeah.
And we can expect that, when the persecution comes, and the enemy comes in like a flood. If you're associated with this person, all that heat comes on you. Hey, expect a lot of these men that said they were brothers. And for you brothers out there that have women, don't be surprised if those women, when the heat gets turned up, betray you like Demas did the apostle Paul.
And
happen. and come against you as an enemy, come against you as the serpent.
Yeah, the scripture said, remember Lot's wife. What happened with Lot's wife? She turned around, man. She looked back. Same thing with Job's wife. All right, you guys trusting these women to hold fast. You got to pray for your own strength. All right, pray that the Lord not take his spirit from you. You can't look to other people. Well, I'm sure that person's solid. Well, maybe not.
Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But you want me to start at verse 1?
Come on.
This is Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon.
It says virgin daughter of Babylon. What is the daughter of Babylon? All right, this kingdom, which is prophesied in the Holy Scriptures, has the same attributes, the same deities, the same confusion and madness of ancient Babylon. But this is a virgin daughter. A virgin meaning what? She's untouched. Keep going.
Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate.
Thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. All right? You're not going to be a virgin anymore. All right? America's going to spread those legs. And that's what happens, man. And when we get in the kingdom, when we look back on the destruction of this place, it's not going to be a surprise. Nobody's going to be caught off guard reading about the inception of America and then the destruction. It's going to be common sense. Okay, this is a wicked society, so the Most High destroyed it. But right now, since it hasn't happened yet, these people, they don't see it coming. And that's why Yahawashi said, I come as a thief in the night. You have people talking about 40-year plans, 1,000 years, just total bug outs, man. They don't see that this whore is about to get fucked. Keep going.
Verse 2, take the millstones and grind mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Verse 3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yeah, thy shame shall be seen.
Now, wait a minute. It says, uncover the thigh, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. But I thought that was a good girl. She's a virgin. America's a virgin, right? She's the girl next door. She wouldn't do all that. But meanwhile, the Most High is using his prophets to uncover all of the dirt, all of the nakedness, all of the shame of this place. All right, this place is actually a whore. It's not a virgin. Keep going.
The Lord is, you know how a husband hires a private investigator to tail his wife. That's what the men of the Lord are to Babylon.
Yeah.
Where YAHAWAH, bahasham, YAHAWASHI's private investigators getting all getting all her filthy secrets and exposing them.
Yeah. You start finding some things you didn't want to find, man.
And then you go into denial.
Yep.
Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yeah, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man.
Right, Yahawashi is not coming back as a regular man that you could crucify, you could lie on, spit on, stab, torture, and ultimately put to death. He's coming back as an angelic force. And the world has never seen that before. The world has never seen Yahawashi and a fleet of angels cover the sky and just completely eradicate a place, man. You have certain miracles that were done in the scriptures. You had the Exodus, which was the greatest thing that the earth has seen up until that point. But it tells you in Jeremiah 16 that this is going to completely eclipse that. So it's never happened before. So people are like, oh, that's not going to happen.
Hey, during the first death with the flood, it never rained before. So people never expected to see water come from the sky.
Yeah, that's a beautiful point. It had never rained until it did. You're telling people, hey, look, water's going to come out of the sky and completely flood this place. They're like, what are you talking about? Noah's gone mad. All right, Noah, you're drunk. What are you talking about? But then when it started raining, hey, let me on that boat. It's too late. But if you can give me Ezekiel 38 and 10. And this is why it says in Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, that they're amazed. They're going to be amazed at the strangeness of our salvation because they've never seen anything like that before. Because this place is still a virgin. But every whore starts as a virgin. You got it?
This is Ezekiel 38 and 10. Thus saith the Lord YAHAWAH, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought.
Right. This is talking about the leaders. The Most High is going to put evil thoughts in the minds of these leaders, and this is what they're going to do.
Verse 11, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them without walls and having neither bars nor gates.
Right, and this country is so proud. There's really not, one thing when you look at Europe, this brother goes into it all the time. When you have a continent that has a deep war history, World War I, World War II, the French, the German, the British, especially these Eastern European countries, they're used to Western and Eastern Europe just using their front lawn as a battlefield. But America doesn't have that history. America really, these people really believe, oh, there's no way Iran. What Iran? Come on, man. China, man. Man, come on, man. We shop on Temu. China's cool with us. They're not gonna attack us. But we know through prophecy, these countries are gonna link up and wipe this place off the face of the earth. That's a mindset. That's that old ancient mentality that the other side of the world still has, because they still have to deal with war. Every day is a reality. Today could be the day that Vladimir Putin just says, fuck it, I'm gonna push a button.
These countries, get sanctions put on them. Sanctions to the point to where their populations starve, their economies collapse. So as the brother was saying, they are constantly in that war mindset that, today could be the day we collapse, or today could be the day we got no other choice but to go to war. But over here in bubble boy Babylon, you just think, oh, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna go to Burger King, I'm gonna smoke a blunt, and then I'm gonna go back home and watch Netflix. Yeah. And that's gonna be the rest of my life.
Yeah, when you go to every major city in Europe, there's you walk around, he's like, okay, there was a battle that took place there. Okay, there were tanks that came on that bridge. The same bridge that people go to work to every day. Okay, there was a war here. Not even that long ago, less than 100 years. There was a devastating war. And that's just not something that people think of in America. Their cogitation is really on just being lazy, being fat, being stupid, and just enjoying their flesh.
Hey, my boss, he was telling me the other day, because he European and stuff, so he he'll visit Eastern Europe from time to time, and he said there's some places in Eastern Europe right now that are still fucked up from World War II, damn near 80 years ago. Yeah. When you think of Europe, you think, oh, it's like America, they got, but there are places that are still jacked up from World War II. So that is still a fresh wound in the minds of these people outside of America.
Yeah, there are places in Southeast Asia that are still, they're never going to be the same again. And World War II, again, this was, 80-something years ago? Like, man, war is devastating, man.
Vietnam. To back you up, you got people getting born with birth defects from Agent Orange.
Yep.
Like these other countries, they see the scars of war in their day-to-day life. Yep. But America, being a virgin and hadn't had that hymen broke yet, everything's still hunky-dory, I'm chipper, I'm happy, until you're not.
Yep, until you're not. And, like the brother was saying, Vietnam, they still have landmines. Children playing. Next thing you know, they just blow up, man. This happens today. Vietnam War was, before we were even born. But they're still feeling the effects of that. So, they don't look at their country as being a virgin. They're like, look, anything can happen. She's with whatever. But a lot of Americans, they still have the rose-colored glasses. All right, she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't get down like that. America is going to get fucked. You need to prepare your mind for how this place is going to go out, because the Lord is showing us, when you look at Venezuela, Greece, these different countries, you'll see some type of economic collapse. You'll see people reverting to cannibalism. Women, doctors, female lawyers and such, they revert to prostitution.
Eating out of trash cans.
Eating out of trash cans. And this is under a week. It doesn't take long for the so-called virtuous woman to turn to a whore. This happens immediately. When your stomach is touching the back, your ribs are showing. People do strange things, man.
Going back to World War II, and German women, for a bar of chocolate, gave up everything.
Yeah, they still like that chocolate bar to this day.
Yeah.
But you could give me a Sirach 11 and 5.
Con.
That's all I had, pretty much.
Con. I got one more for you after that.
Con. Yeah.
Brother was telling me over in Germany right now too, so that's funny.
Con. Yeah, that's what's going around, man. All right, the love of Jake is spreading across the earth, just like the hatred of Esau is spreading across the earth, which is something that was really unseen growing up. The so-called white man, he had the 80s action movie. He was the hunk, he was the star.
He was the commando, he was the Rambo, he was the Terminator.
Which those are Jakes anyway.
Yeah, so that's
the so-called white man's biggest heroes are all Israelites. They just look like heathen. What you got it?
Shit, I know, just to back you up, growing up, I never thought America would have collapsed.
Yeah.
or Esau would have ever went down.
Yeah, that shows you the faith that was given to our apostles and elders. They were prophesying this stuff in the 80s, in the 90s. Bro, in the 90s, the economy was booming. Every album went platinum. You know, DMX could fart on the record. He could bark. It'd just go triple platinum. Like, there was no sign that this place was going to collapse. But those men were on the highways and hedges breaking down the same scriptures that we are to this day, telling this devil to his face that he's going down. And we could see it. We're in that generation now.
God. This is a Sirach 11:5. Many kings have sat down upon the ground, and one that was never thought of hath worn the crown.
Right. So you have men that were never kings until they were. You know, King David, there's no way he's like the youngest of, which he was king previously, if you understand who he is. But you have kings that take the throne, that take the throne, and they were never thought of. There's no way this guy's gonna be a king. And that's how these people look at us. These niggas? These are the Israelites? These are the prophets? Yes. All right. You, just because you haven't seen something like this before doesn't mean it's not the truth. The scriptures say that we would lose our heritage and he would give us back that spirit in these last days in Revelation 11. And great fear is falling upon these people that see it because they've never seen anything like it before. So-called black men standing up for their heritage, standing up for the commandments of Yahawah, bahasham, YAHAWASHI. That's crazy.
Saying they're the sons of God.
Yeah.
And that you're less than shit.
Yeah, we're uprating them. Which that whole chapter is beautiful, man. It shows you the cogitation of the wicked and how they really feel about us. They know that we're the sons of Yahawah, bahasham, YAHAWASHI, and they know that they're not. And it's a beautiful time because the world has never seen so-called black men standing up for truth and righteousness. So-called Latinos and Native Americans putting aside the idols and really worshiping the Father in spirit and truth. But there's a first time for everything.
And putting the Jalisco down.
Con, and the Modelo Black.
Jake, yeah. I'm gonna leave this. Jake might try to take a Modelo on the chariot with him.
Oh man.
But that was it in that Sirach.
Con.
Just going back to that Isaiah 47. I'ma read 7 to 9. And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it.
God, that's how these people think. They don't think of the latter end. Wait a minute, we have to pay for slaughtering hundreds of millions of Israelites. We have to pay for enslaving the southern kingdom and committing genocide against the northern kingdom. They don't lay these things to heart that they're gonna have to pay, but they will.
And like that whore, I didn't know. I thought it was fun and games until I caught all these STDs.
Yeah, I thought she was a virgin. Next thing you know, I'm using the bathroom, shooting fire out my rod, man. That's what happens, man.
Great bowls of fire.
Great balls of, yeah, but she was a virgin though, until she wasn't. All right, every whore starts off as a virgin, so you can't walk around here with your head in the ground like a damn ostrich, Jake. You got to have your head on a swivel. You got to be prepared for the unexpected, because that's what's coming. Jacob's trouble is going to be like a gauntlet. It's going to be like one of those like a series of events and traps and trials that you go through. Yeah, that show Gladiator. It's going to be one thing after another.
Bushwick.
Yeah, Bushwick.
It didn't get, the movie ended on a worse note than it began on. It was just one situation after another until the whole city was on fire by the end of the movie.
Yeah, and that's how Jacob's trouble is going to be. It tells you in Amos, it's going to be like running from a lion and a bear catches you, man. Imagine running from a lion, you get away from a lion and you see a bear. That's what Jacob's trouble is going to be like. So you got to prepare your mind for these things. Yeah, that's all I had.
Verse 8. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, and she that liveth in pleasures is dead while she liveth, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments.
Yeah, they're going to come in their perfection, which perfection in the Bible means complete. There's going to be a complete amount of destruction and really a complete amount of judgment for you wicked people. You know, we just hope to be covered from that, with YAHAWASHI's blood and that mercy. Because if you don't have that, it's over. All right, if you're not protected by YAHAWASHI when these things happen, it's over for you. But So, Abaratazah, this lesson was edifying to the elect. We're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to
YAHAWAH, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Microchip.
double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalawam to the hopeful elect.
Shalawam.
Shalawam. Ababa Ball.
Ababa Ball.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.